vacation rentals and tours, located at 5 miles Philip Boson Highway near the Halover Bridge, is your perfect sea view getaway. Come relax in one of our beautiful air-conditioned sea view apartment, studios, sea view rooms, or suites, all with flat screen television, hot and cold bath, and unlimited access to a spacious and refreshing 40 by 16 foot pool with 6 to 4 feet depth. So you can enjoy that fun and refreshing dive or dip in the pool. We sell ice cold drinks, so you can relax and unwind on our overwater or poolside decks. Contact us at 501-615-4485, 65 or 67.
There was a press release from the White House. They said they want to achieve everybody vaccinated and every country at least 70%. 70%. So they're trying to find ways to achieve their goal.
Going back to history, that's where the discrimination of cannabis came from.
Yes.
Because a lot of Mexicans was bringing hemp to the U.S. They used to make cloth, plastic, clothes, even biodiesel.
They should know the metes and bounds. They should have their deeds. They should know where to get this information.
And when Nasri speaks about, that we're already behind the education system, there are some schools that they were moving in a good direction.
How can we mold boys into good men? Society in crisis.
That's the game with the road. We problem now with bloody politicians. We play that game there and think everybody fool. Tell everybody what they do. And if you get money, share it with me now. Share it. But
You think they understand?
most of them don't even know where they go on. That's the game with the road. We problem now with bloody politicians.
Society in crisis.
So they're trying to find ways to achieve their goal.
Good night, everybody, and welcome back. Welcome to the Zenaida Moya show. It seems like it has been a while since I have been live in studio, and we had certain setbacks, and we held off on the show for 2 weeks due to Hurricane Lisa. Hurricane Lisa, definitely, they said it was supposed to be, we're expecting it to be like I guess a light category 1. Certainly did not feel like a category 1 at all. The destruction and the winds definitely felt over as category 1. That much I can tell you, at least for those of us who felt the brunt of it. I think most of us could tell you that definitely did not feel like a category 1. But anyway, we're here. Today is Tuesday, November 15th. And as usual, we're here. We're live on Maximum Radio and Maximum Television. We're on many different outlets, as of course. We're all over the country of Belize on Maximum Radio and Maximum Television. And of course, we are on Facebook. A lot of you who usually tune in to lend your comments and so forth, you guys are tuning on Facebook, and we're also live on YouTube and LinkedIn and so forth now. So I want to say a pleasant good night to everybody on all the different mediums. And there's a lot of mediums that we're live on, MadLab, and there's a long list. But let's get into it. We will be having our guest, Mr. Brian Plummer. As you know, he's a teacher, so he's coming. He had a class tonight, so he'll be here shortly now. In the meanwhile, I'll be showing and starting because we're to start at 7. Tonight is 15th of November. I just want to pay my respects to my father up in heaven. Today would have been his birthday. He would have been 89 this year. Yes, for some of you might be wondering how come, that's quite an age. He had me when he was a bit older. And so, but he would have been 89. He was born 1933. November 15th. So it's definitely been a while, and I just want to pay my respects to him. Of course, he died February 5th, 1998. So that's 18, yeah. That's definitely, 24 years? 24 years, so next so February should be like 25 years he has passed. So, happy birthday in heaven, Dad. Tonight we're going to discuss, there's been a lot of things happening. COP27, the Conference of Parties, United Nations Conference of Parties, and it is a very important event. It's an event that we know it definitely impacts us. It definitely impacts us. We have had and let me just tell you to share the live. For those of you who might be on, just go ahead and share the live. We have been here, and COP27 has been going on in Egypt. And let me just say, it has been going on in Egypt. There you have world leaders, you have, definitely people in the environment and the meteorology area and sustainable development area and climate change and all those areas. And we have a lot of people that are there, and it has been an event that will be impacting us layering on. And that's why I wanted to tell you that we know the weather has been changing. There has been extreme weather, and it's been going on for some time now. We have certain people that feels that the abnormality of the weather conditions has been man-made. And some of you might be saying, but how come man-made? Well, man-made because a lot of people also, they have been seeing something called chemtrails, chemical trails. We call it chemtrails. And this has been going on for years. And so I'm going to show you a little bit about that. And then I'm going to show you also, what has been happening a little bit at COP27, because one of those things that came out is the 10, people call it the 10 climate commandments. 10 climate commandments. Some say it's the 10 climate justice commandments, and you have a lot of people who don't believe it should be, there should be any such thing. And I can't, I'm going to be reading those out just so that you understand now what is it that people are talking about. And the first thing I want to tell you though, that we have, let me just turn this down, people. We have, and I'm already looking on because I know, let me just say a pleasant good night. Let me just go ahead because I didn't go, I did not go, let me just go live so that I can see when people communicate to the show. So let me try and at least, all right. Yeah. So, I want to say a pleasant good night to Nancy DePaz. Good night, my friend. Good night, Gregory Morrison, all the way in California. Good night. Terry Chinchilla, good night. Good night as well. And Nancy, I already see that you say some hurricanes are man-made indeed. People need to wake up and stop sleep. And I guess that is the perfect place for me to start because we've been seeing a lot of abnormal weather. Certain things they said have been in the air. People call it conspiracy theory. A lot of things people have called conspiracy theory are now just theory. But for now, you still have certain people calling it conspiracy theory. But a lot of things, and you guys have seen a lot of things materialize, especially over the last 3 years. You guys have definitely seen a lot of things that were once called conspiracy theory. It is just now facts. It's facts, and people call it via the New World Order, and some people said, well, it's just a great awakening, and whatever it is that they view it, a lot of it has come to pass. So, but I will definitely want to tell you that the COP27, I'd want Kelvin to go ahead and put on the one with the COP27. It's just a very short video, but it kind of tells you what is this convention of parties, just so you get an idea, because it's important. It affects the whole world. It's from this that we know we'll be having these universal 10 commandments. And some of you will say, well, there should never be any other 10 commandments. God gave us those 10 commandments from the onset, and that's how it should remain. Well, those are now, you understand? So yeah, the first video I had wanted to send. I had wanted you to watch the very first video that stated what is COP27 and why it's so important. It came from Euronews. And so this Euronews is, they really went in there and, they're trying to give us certain information. So Kelvin, whenever you're ready, you can go ahead.
Climate Now, in collaboration with Copernicus.
Hello and welcome to Climate Now, our unique monthly update on what's really happening to our planet. In this special edition,
we're here at the COP27 Climate Summit in Egypt with experts giving you a breakdown on how our climate is changing and why. Well, let's start with a quick look at the latest data from the Copernicus Climate Change Service, which shows that here in Europe, we just had the warmest October on record, with temperatures almost 2 degrees Celsius above the 1991 to 2020 average. all of the areas in dark red on this map across France, Switzerland, Austria, parts of Germany, Italy and Spain had exceptionally warm weather last month. Now those are the figures for October, but they're part of a much wider trend. Europe is warming much faster than the rest of the planet. And to understand why, I met up with Petteri Tallas, the Director General of the World Meteorological Organization. Professor Tallas, why is it that Europe is warming so much faster than the rest of the world?
So we have seen more than double warming taking place in Europe as compared to the rest of the world, and that's because of the warming in the Arctic, which has had a big impact in northern part of Europe. And then globally, the second most warmed region is Mediterranean region. In the Arctic, the melting of snow and ice is contributing to this warming, and in the Mediterranean region, it's getting drier and drier, so there's not enough evaporation to damp this warming, which is usually taking place.
The warming that we're seeing here on land would be even more rapid if it wasn't for the oceans. It's calculated that they are absorbing up to 90% of the excess heat in the atmosphere trapped by greenhouse gases, and they're suffering. Well, I'm here with leading ocean scientist Jean-Pierre Gattuso. Thanks for being with us. Jean-Pierre, we know that the Mediterranean has suffered repeated heat waves over the past couple of years. What impact is that having?
The main effect of marine heat waves are massive mortality of invertebrates and plants, mollusks, sponges and corals. Between the surface and 50 meters in depth, there are many invertebrates and plants that are affected negatively and that die.
Do the decisions that are taken here at COP27, do they make any difference? Are they really going to change things like acidification and heat waves?
The negotiations that are taking place here are obviously extremely important. The scenarios that have been projected by the IPCC show that if the Paris Agreement is implemented quickly and fully, we can stabilize temperatures and ocean acidification. This does not mean that we will return to the situation as it was before. It means we can stop the warming and stop the increase in acidity.
Here at COP27, the atmosphere is businesslike because everybody knows that the window is closing to reach the goals of the Paris Agreement and limit global warming to well below 2 degrees Celsius. So is there any real progress on reducing emissions? Are greenhouse gas concentrations going up or down? Well, I'm joined by Claire Fyson, an emissions expert from Climate Analytics. What's the situation right now?
So unfortunately, greenhouse gas concentrations in the atmosphere are still going up. A recent estimate came out and said they're at 416 parts per million. That's higher than it was last year. That's higher than it's been in all of human civilization. So a very worrying trend, because as carbon emissions continue to go up, climate change impacts will continue to get worse.
Is there any expectation that the greenhouse gas concentrations in the atmosphere will actually stabilise soon?
So that really depends on what we do, especially what we do over the next 8 to 10 years. If we get emissions down to zero, then yes, we will see a levelling off in those concentrations, and we'll see temperature rise starting to plateau and climate change impacts stopping to get worse. Recent assessments suggest that actually we're going to head for around 2.4 to 2.8 degrees of warming, so really not a place that we want to be.
That gives you a little idea as to how people are thinking and what is being discussed, what's the issue that they're looking at. I have one little 1-minute video also that I want to also play, and what it also shows you is that a lot of what people are also doing, especially let me not say the poorer countries, let me just put it out there. All right, these are not the first world countries. These are the developing countries. What a lot of them are doing now, what they've been doing at this COP27 pretty much is begging, begging to get help to deal with some of these extreme weathers that have been impacting them, right? So there's a lot of begging, Belize, that's what we would have been doing, begging, Barbados, a lot of them. And, it's not only in the Caribbean, it's the smaller islands, smaller Pacific islands, and, even some of the African countries, and it's a lot of, so you'll have these richer countries who is being looked at to ensure that they do their part to cut down on the greenhouse gases, the carbon emissions, and then you'll have the poorer countries that will be there saying that, hey, because of what you guys are doing, it's impacting us, and so we should be getting, some people even call it reparations. They call it reparations, there was a protest out there, and what they were calling it was reparations. That these countries, that we should be getting certain money. These other countries are making money, they're polluting the air, and so forth and so forth. And so other countries like us who don't have a lot of manufacturing, and it's said we don't do a lot of pollution, that we should be getting some money. That's why you call it carbon trading, right? And Nancy DePaul says 2 years it was all about COVID-19 and no hurricanes for 2 years. Now it's hurricane after hurricane. They will use climate change to brainwash the world like they did with COVID-19. So sad. And that is the new thing. All right, that's why I felt it important to ensure that we have a show, because when Mr. Brian Plummer come on board, I would have already showed you this, and so he would be able to give you the insight as to why these things are happening. Show the little 1 minute video. Okay? Yeah. When you're ready, just let me know. Yeah. It's ready? Okay. All right, so when he's ready, he's gonna let me know. So yeah, so this little 1 minute video, I really want you guys to go ahead and see, because okay, all right, no problem. And you guys saw the greenhouse gas, and I mean that's what they're trying to tell us. They're trying to tell us that it all has to do with greenhouse gases and so forth. But and recently we've been seeing a lot of escalation in certain activities in the year. And what I told you, there's also something called chemtrails. Now this isn't new news. This is for years and years people have been talking about chemtrails. And so you have certain people that will be saying, okay, well, it has to do with chemtrails. And so let me just, Kelvin, if you're not ready with that one, let's go straight to the chemtrails one. This was Chemtrails News, Los Angeles, and they had a segment on chemtrails, and this was like over 13 years ago. The university, I think, what is it? The University of, let me see who had this up. We had the university, I think it's Idaho or Louisiana, some one of them who even have this up on their own site. So it's not something that is, not looked at. So whenever you're ready, you can just go ahead and play that one, all right? So, are you ready? It's showing? Yeah. So this one here, you call it chemtrails. And yeah, you're gonna go ahead? When people speak about it, a lot of people don't understand. And I guess my show is just a show that you'll just have to learn, because a lot of people might not know what is happening in the world. They're clueless. A lot of people, not some of you here watching, you guys know exactly what is happening. You guys are informed, but you have oh man, millions and millions and millions and possibly billions of people in this world who do not have a clue as to what is happening to them, what is happening to the world. And hence the reason you have certain, certain things that are being pushed, certain agendas that are being pushed, because the masses are clueless. And I have to use the word masses because masses just means the majority of people. It's not something to demean anybody. I don't use the word masses to demean anybody, but masses means the majority of people. All right? The majority of people do not know about this. And to a large extent, it has to do with the fact that the masses of people, and this is all over the world, they're fighting for a living. It's, you call it hand to mouth. They don't have time to be researching. They don't have time to be educating themselves. A lot of them haven't even gone to school beyond primary level, or if they went to high school, it's like 1 year. So they don't know what is happening or what has been happening. And to a great extent, this has come at a great at a loss to them, at an expense to all of us, including myself, who would be a bit more knowledgeable, because people like us, well, we'll do the research. We try to educate ourselves on these. Not that we don't work, because we work hard. We work hard. Maybe we're not out in the streets doing certain things and so forth, but we work very hard. You understand? And to a great extent, we were, even schooling, we had to be working very hard. Sometimes when people were partying, some of us, we were studying hard in the wee hours of the morning, 4 in the morning. We were studying straight up to, when we were in our 20s, doing our different degrees, master's degrees. Some people have their doctorate's degree. So we have a lot of knowledge that we know we need to impart. You understand? And this is definitely one of them, because we are going through this. These few years right now, it's going to be all about climate change. Everything will be about climate change. 2.5 years ago, it was all about COVID. That's all you heard about. There was nothing else. Everything was that. And we already told you, I told you, I know I told you on the show more than once, that the next agenda on the list for you to get all wrapped up on will be climate change. All right? I told you that. We told you that. I showed you the video. I showed you how CNN reporters said, you know what? After it was a hidden video whereby they said, what will be the next agenda? And they said climate change. And you have it. Everything is about climate change. So, but you need to see what is happening so that you're not, so that at least, I'm not saying there are not changes, but you have to understand why some of these are happening or might be happening, so that you know that for people to be saying, okay, get rid of fossil fuels, get rid of regular vehicles and just go straight into these battery operated cars and hybrid cars, and everything should be about solar panels and all that. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that and going to see what it is, because during the lockdown, we saw who was making money. Who were making money were all the electric companies, the online companies, Amazon, you had Walmart, Walgreens, all those kinds of entities, Facebook, YouTube, Zoom. These were the people who were making money. Everything was to get people on board. Have you glued to social media? Have you glued only to what they want you to do? So we weren't able to go out and be free, enjoy ourselves, stay in shape. We were to be indoor, get big, fat, out of shape, unhealthy. And now, what's the next agenda? You're seeing it. They're pushing to say being big, fat, unhealthy is a good thing. It's a good thing, so they're okay with having us die younger. So, but anyway, that's going to be another topic, because those people who will want to use that and say it's fat shaming, no, my friend, that's ensuring that you go 6 feet under quicker. Go ahead and play the video, please. Yes, news.
Could a strange substance found by a southwest Arkansas man be part of a government test? Well, that's the question at the heart of a phenomenon called chemtrails, now getting widespread attention. Well, tonight, KSLA News 12 investigation reporter Jeff Farrell shows us the results of testing we had done about what's in our skies.
It seemed like some mornings it was just crisscrossing the whole sky. It was just like a giant checkerboard.
Bill Nichols snapped several photos of the strange clouds from his home in Stamps, Arkansas. They begin as normal contrails from a jet engine, but do not fade away like a normal contrail. Soon after, he saw particles in the air.
You know, because we'd see it drop to the ground in a haze.
Nichols then noticed the material collecting on the ground.
This is water and stuff that I collected in bowls. I had it set out in my backyard on my dad's pickup truck.
KSLA News 12 had the sample tested at a lab. The results? A high level of barium, 6.8 parts per million, more than 3 times the toxic level set by the EPA.
Armed with these lab results about the high levels of barium found in our sample, we decided to contact the Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality. They told us that yes, these levels are very unusual, but at the same time they added the caveat that proving the source is a whole nother matter.
Barium is a hallmark of other chemtrail testing, which even attracted attention from a Los Angeles TV station. There's already no shortage of unclassified weather modification programs by the government. But those who fear chemtrails could be secret biological or chemical testing on the public point to the 1977 Senate hearings in particular, which confirmed 239 populated areas had been contaminated with biological agents between 1949 and 1969. Later, the 1994 Rockefeller Report concluded hundreds of thousands of military personnel were also subjected to secret biological experiments over the last 60 years. But could secret testing be underway yet again?
I'd rather it be something inert and benign, you know, something that's, you know, not causing any damage, but I'd like to know what it is.
KSLA News 12 discovered chemtrails are even mentioned by name in the initial draft of House Bill 2977 back in 2001 under the Space Preservation Act. But the military denies any such program exists. Jeff Farrell, KSLA News 12 reporting.
And you know, it turns out until 9 years ago, the government had the right under U.S. law to conduct secret testing on the American public under specific conditions. Only a public outcry repealed part of that law, with some exceptions.
Now, Jeff's report mentioned high levels of barium linked to those alleged chemtrails. We wanted to find out exactly what effects barium has on the body. We spoke with Mark Ryan, the director of the Poison Control Center. Ryan tells KSLA News 12 that short-term exposure can lead to anything from stomach to chest pains. Long-term exposure causes blood pressure problems. Ryan addressed concerns by chemtrail researchers that barium could be meant to wear down a person's immune system.
Anything that causes ill effects in the body long-term, chronically, is going to affect your ability because it's constantly working on the body. So from that aspect, yeah, that's a potential.
Ryan says he's conducted research on his own about secret government testing on the public, but he's still a bit skeptical about the alleged chemtrails, at least at the moment, because the Poison Control Center has seen no calls about exposure to barium.
We have that bit. And why that's important, okay, I see Mr. Plummer is here. So, all right. So, why that is important is simply because you have to understand the background as to this. Like I told you, this topic isn't, a topic that, a lot of, it might go past people's head, a lot of people's head, because they may not, you know, they may not really get, I think, yeah, it may go past people's head because they haven't been told about these things. Let me make sure that, let me see. Yeah, because I know that and I'm just saying because I know that Mr. Plummer is here, and so I know that we'll have to cut to it right now. But we know these things have been happening, and those who are doing it are not saying, they pretty much are saying that it's a conspiracy theory. That's what they're saying, it's a conspiracy theory. No, this has been happening. I told you that video is 13 years old, okay? That video is 13 years old, and that has been happening from then. Now, let me see, because I see Mr. Plummer is here. I see that he's here, no? So we're gonna try and bring him on. We're gonna try and bring him on right now. Yeah, Kelvin, Mr. Plummer is here, go ahead. We are gonna try and ensure that that's when he comes in. The only reason is because he's very knowledgeable in these areas, and so I really wanted him here, but I do know that it does get a bit distracting trying to bring on somebody at such a time, but you understand? Yeah. Yeah. So we have that these people now, these people have been doing certain things in the air, and there's another video that speaks about conspiracy, about they call it the conspiracy theory, and they speak about the chemtrails, and they say, oh well, it's not real. Go ahead and put that the chemtrails one, where they say it's like a conspiracy theory, and yeah, but yeah, we do have on here, Mr. Plummer. Good night. Good night. Good night. Yes, and for those of you who may not know who Mr. Brian Plummer is, he's an educator, and that's why he's just managing to come here. And yeah, he just finished from class, and he's also an author, and he's also a foreign columnist. All right. So Rachel Ann Balderrama says, good night, Kelvin. Good evening, Kelvin. Good evening, Mr. Plummer. Nancy DePaul says, good evening, Mr. Plummer. Yes. Claudette Simmons, good night as well. So what we were saying just before you came in was that I showed them a little bit about what they're discussing at the COP27. And I also told you as well that what people are doing, you have the larger countries that they'll be discussing certain things, but you have the poorer countries like our countries, the Caribbean, the Pacific Islands, who are there to be, a lot of them are there to say, okay, see what they can get. It's really, in a nutshell, see what we can get, beg, see what we can get out of this. And we say that it's because it is a genuine concern, and I'm not saying it's not a genuine concern. I'm just saying that is our agenda.
What most know is that there was a treaty signed, right, 27 years ago. That's why it's COP27. UN Climate Change Center. That's what this is all about. There's a treaty, just like how you had the heads of agreement.
Yes.
You know about that. They had a treaty, yes. An agreement. Treaty is just an agreement between countries. They had an agreement from 27 years ago, right?
Yes.
I think it's 1994 to be exact, 28, 27, right? 1994. They signed this agreement, and this is the result of it. They have been working towards this. Mm-hmm. What most people don't understand about the elites that run the world, we're not talking about local politicians. To make people, when I tell people this, they don't understand. Poor people think day to day. Middle class people could think 5 years. Rich people could think centuries and decades.
Yes.
They have that leisure. But middle class people could think maybe 5, 10 years. They plan long election.
Poor person, they will think just for tomorrow. Just for tomorrow, today.
But the elites around the world, they have been planning this COP thing from 1994.
Yes.
That's no time for them.
Mm-hmm.
That's no time.
Mm-hmm.
To make you understand the difference between them and us, I use that comparison with the poor man who only could think day to day. That's how he could, that's how he survived.
Yes, that's what I was saying just before you came in. I said this isn't a knock on anybody. I was telling them that the masses here, meaning the majority of people in the world, you understand, the billions of people in the world, who a lot of them are poor, or most of them are poor. They are not thinking about a lot of these things. They are thinking about just how they can eat hand-to-mouth kind of situation, bread and butter issues. It is only, you'll have the educators, the more higher, people like us who will be, a bit way more educated, who understand the true meaning and the necessity to research and to know what's happening in the world and how things are impacting us, that will be able to understand what these people are doing.
You have to understand also that why they have said COP27, 10 commandments, they want the environment, the rules that rule us, to save the environment. Now,
yes.
They're not going to do it to benefit us. They're going to do it to benefit them. Like in COVID, most people don't know. The private school in America did not shut down. They were going on. Most people don't know. The government don't tell you what to do. Neither in Jamaica, the private school were open.
Mm-hmm.
So there's rules for thee and not for me.
Yes.
When they talk about carbon credit, they have a back door that all of us will. Once you have investment in the environment, you get so much extra credit so you can burn more. They have back doors that they'll be able to fly around in their jets and get carbon credits.
And we see this whenever they have any meetings that they're to attend, they go in their jets.
They don't care about your environment. One person flying the jet.
One person, and a lot of times is those individuals who will be the main guest speaker.
Yes. So it's not
telling us that we have to cut down.
Correct, it's about control.
Yes.
It's a mechanism of control. Why I say that? Look at the trend of history. I'm a mathematician, and math is a study of pattern. Over the years, have we got more freedom, or has our freedom been taken away?
Taken away.
Look at COVID. They say COVID is done, but yet you can't go into America if you're an immigrant without a vaccine. So they're not backing down on their restrictions.
Yeah.
They are trying to be nice because people push back.
Yes.
And they're trying to minimize that push and disassemble the people.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at COVID, right here in the East, I get a text today talking about taking your vaccine. They still sending out texts.
But they still have out ads.
Yes, so these people are backing down.
No, they're not backing down. But you know what I must say, and I have to tell you how proud I am of people in this world right now, especially our Belizeans. I'm extremely proud of our Belizeans. I see the kickback. I see them pushing the pushback of whenever I see these particular same ads that you're talking about, saying go and take the vaccine, and Belizeans are saying no, especially to the kids. I see Belizeans saying no, what's wrong with you? And people will come out and say what all has happened and why they will not do it. And I must say I'm so proud of our Belizeans right now, because their minds are now open and,
The credit to the people and the whole in the world, the maximum, the media, the propaganda, the censorship.
Yes.
But yet, people resisted, and not everybody in Belize. they claim it's about 50% of the population that got vaccinated, but with that massive effort, that mandate, they only managed that to 50%. I would consider that a failure because you expended a lot of resources and power.
Yes.
No, you can't come with that trick again so easily because nobody believes you. Just cry wolf.
And people are seeing the results of what has happened. People have been seeing it. People are seeing that, you know what, this thing wasn't necessary. A lot of these people that ended up in the hospital, when you look, especially when you look, and look at us going back to that, but when you look at
it's one agenda.
it's one agenda, and it's just different modules of it. Yes.
It's like I try buying a woman, it never works. So I'll try sweet talk and all. I still have the same objective.
Yes.
I want to bed her, but I realized that one method didn't work.
You know.
It's like that.
You know, when I see the media, some of the media personalities who got ill, right, who got sick, and they'll say, oh, you know, they got COVID, and then when you hear from them, all of them were fully vaxxed, they were boosted, and I'm like, okay, they're supposed to be educated people here, and yet they are still blaming it.
I am arguing, my argument based on the data in the Belize and the world, that there was no new disease, they just reclassified things as COVID. There's nothing new. The flu been around, the heart problem that COVID gave been around. These people think we are stupid, and all they did was reclassify things as COVID.
Yes.
That is my opinion, and the evidence is every year in Belize, most people don't know because they're not students of statistics, around 100 people die from the flu. Or whether that God. Every year. Religiously, more or less, it fluctuates, not 100, I give an estimate, sometimes 120.
Yes.
Sometimes it goes all around, it's around 100. Then you have pneumonia, other disease. So what they did, they think we're kind of slow. They reclassified those deaths as COVID. Because people aren't dying of flu again in Belize. I don't see no name. It's COVID, they changed the name. So, heart problems, people are dying of heart problems.
Nobody die of heart problems anymore. Is nobody of diabetes, nobody of hypertension, everything is COVID. I see here Des Callis saying good night. Good night, thank you. Good night, Des, and good night to you also, Mr. Plummer. Charlotte Ferguson, I know you're in Texas right now, right, Charlotte? She's saying good evening. She says she loves listening to you, Mr. Plummer. And Nancy is having a laugh at what you're saying.
So that's why I noticed that
reclassification.
They can't tell me there's a new disease. What they did is a reclassification. And with this COP thing, that's what they do.
California. Okay, Charlotte, so you're in California now. I was wondering, because sometimes you're in California, sometimes you're in Texas.
What I realized, because I keep up with the world of finance, part of my hobby is that I listen to podcasts like Peter Schiff, GPS, a lot of financial things. And what I realize these elites are going to do, they're going to commoditize the environment. The environment is going to be the new source of wealth. Most people don't know it believe. When we signed that super bond, we committed to 30% of our sea will be in reserve. That's not by accident.
Yes.
They want the environment to be preserved so they could put it on the stock market, and they'll say, oh, this work, the Chickaboo Forest worth 30 trillion, and then they make money off it. They have done it in I know what they do because they've done it in Chile, and they're practicing something there. And the person in charge of climate change for the UN is a former governor of the Central Bank of England. So when I saw that, I got suspicious. He's not a scientist, he's a banker. Then I realized they plan to commoditize the environment. That's why they're talking about carbon credit. That's making it a commodity.
You know, Brian, I have to tell you that in 1997, when I became an economist in the Ministry of Economic Development and Trade, one of my main portfolios that I held in that ministry was in charge of the environment, biodiversity, climate change, and sustainable development. And so when you hear, I used to be the one who would be back and forth to, for example, Barbados. I mean, different parts of the world, right? But one of the countries I would be back and forth to was Barbados, because they had a project, right? A CPAC project, Caribbean Panel for Adaptation to Climate Change. It was a project that, I was the main focal point for that. I was also for the Global Environment Facility Fund. I was in national focal, I was in charge of that at that time. And the national focal point, of course, all the different boards and committees, including everything you could think about, I was on it. You could go back and find my name on it. The Biodiversity Strategy and Action Plan, Zenaida Moya's name is on it. The Coastal Zone Management Authority, my name is on those things. So I'm just letting you know, even with the Met Office and the climate change, my name is on it. Sustainable Development, my name is on it. Right there, I was the chairperson of the PAC, Protected Areas Conservation Trust, as well the advisory committee. I was on that. So I'm just letting you know that when I speak now, some people might say, wow, well, what are you doing now? I have been fortunate enough to see what else. So now they're now at the COP27.
They're bringing it together.
They're bringing it together. I was one of them who used to go out and be all over the world. As well, and now I'm seeing what is happening now, and they're bringing it together. You have to understand, back then, as an economist, we would deal with the UN, and we would look at all the different areas that they were pushing, and it looked like a good thing. And so when you look at all of these now, that it's now coming to a head. All those work that were done, it's now coming to a head. And we are seeing these agendas just rolling out now, and they're mature now. This is a ripe fruit. This is a low-hanging fruit. We had COVID fruit, now we have this fruit.
They realize that there's a lot of money to be made using the environment, and they realize the young people, it's a worthy cause, would be easy to buy into that. Their target is young.
Yes.
Just like the vaccine,
yes.
Their real target was the young, because they want the future.
Yes.
When you have the young, you have the future.
And the AI and the technology. That's why when you see people like this,
present and the past, the young people are the future.
This is how you see young people now. All day, when you go to schools, when you go to universities, a lot of them, their head is down, and their head is just, it's right into technology, it's right into the social media, it's right into technology, and they can easily be brainwashed, versus somebody like me, who's older, who's more mature, who's wiser, who definitely can see otherwise. But there's this short little 1-minute video I want you guys to watch, because I was speaking about the chemtrails. Yes. But I want you all, I showed you how persons look at it.
I'll show you a different language. If you type in chemtrails, you're going to get no conspiracy theory. But if you type in
geoengineering now.
That's what they talk, as a scientist, they will talk about them doing that. So when they put
chemtrails is conspiracy theory. That word.
And they admit that they do that.
So this is just a little 1-minute video, guys. I want you to look at it, and you're gonna see how they try to shift the narrative. So go ahead, the chemtrails one. Yeah, go ahead.
A total of 110 world leaders are here in Sharm el-Sheikh for the COP27 Climate Summit, and they're all under immense pressure to take action. That's not just from opposition parties, from voters, from campaign groups and civil society, but also from scientists who say it's not a question of time is running out, it's a question of time has run out. I spoke to Johan Rockström, the director of the Potsdam Institute for Climate Impact Research, one of the world's leading climate scientists. Here's what he had to say.
The decisions we take now will have impacts for centuries to come. I mean, past 1.5, and the melting of the Greenland ice sheet won't happen overnight, but it's irreversible, even if it takes 500 years, 7 meter sea level rise. With regards to the possibilities of backing down, the only option we have is to remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. So there's some dampening opportunity that we have if we work with nature, if we build carbon stocks and build up stocks, particularly on intact nature on land and through agricultural systems, for example. But there's no magic fixes, there's no magic wand that could take us suddenly to kind of turn off the warming that we've caused.
There is indeed no magic wand, but what there is money, and here a lot of the conversations will be about finance, from the richer countries to the poorer countries, from those who cause climate change to those most affected by it, in order to help with adaptation, because as we know, the changes are underway now and people need help to cope with this warming planet that we have. Jeremy Wilkes at COP27 in Egypt for Euronews.
What exactly is the chemtrails conspiracy? I'm Steve Vasquez for UpRocks, and you've probably noticed these white streaks in the sky. They're clouds of water vapor that form when warm exhaust of a plane's engine encounters cold temperatures in the upper atmosphere. But some people think there's a lot more to the story. Conspiracy theorists call these chemtrails and believe the government is spraying chemicals into the atmosphere in order to control the weather and population, a practice they call geoengineering. Many theorists cite the sudden appearance and disappearance of these trails as proof that something is going on.
I mean, you'll see a plane up there flying like normal, and then all of a sudden it starts spraying.
However, scientists overwhelmingly agree there's no substance to the theory and that these condensation trails appear and disappear based on the moisture content of the air.
Because the atmosphere is fairly dry, the streak is shorter and it disappears.
But believers say the theory explains a lot, like increases in violence, and followers even include celebrities like Prince, who spoke about the theory in a 2009 interview.
You know, when I was a kid, I used to see these trails in the sky all the time, and so oh, that's cool. A jet just went over. And then you started to see a whole bunch of them. And next thing you know, everybody in your neighborhood was fighting and arguing, and you didn't know why. Okay, and you really didn't know why. I mean, everybody was fighting.
And Kylie Jenner famously tweeted out an image speculating that chemtrails might have something to do with the population decline in honeybees.
So when we talk, so that's another look at chemtrails. So the first video I had showed you with the lady, the news anchor who had spoken about it, the Los Angeles news anchor, that came directly off a university website, all right? That was a university website, University of Louisville. Louisville is in Kentucky, right? Louisville, Kentucky. And this person, he's the head of the research, and he literally, so that's on their website. So it's not like people don't believe it. Now, I want to hear from you about this geoengineering.
What geoengineering is that human beings or scientists are trying to manipulate the climate, the weather, the earth itself, right? What most people don't know is that the climate is almost like a closed system. There's only certain, if there is drought in one area, there'll be flood in another. They can't make new water. The amount of water already exists.
Yeah.
They could only divert it here, divert it there. So they are finding ways to, at certain point, make it rain here. They can do that and rain there, but the moisture has to be in the air because the like water, which is a big part of the climate, is constant in the world. So they are trying to find ways, and it's a science. People from space, they claim that they want us to someday go and live in space. So they're trying to figure out how maybe to change Mars into climate like Belize, or like wherever, like the Earth. So they are claiming that's the field of geoengineering, where you take a planetary, and you could actually try and change it by maybe introducing new chemicals. And there's a field, they have a heart in the US, a branch of the military that specializes in using climate as a weapon.
Yes.
So, but general geoengineering, they try to change the environment, the planet, to suit what you want by changing the weather, the amount of carbon, and all that. So they actually have You could actually study that at a university.
But what I'm seeing now, and I'll ask Kelvin to go ahead and cue up the state of the climate in Latin America and the Caribbean, and then after that, one for Africa. It's only a little 1-minute video. It's very short, but it's important, because what now we are seeing, again, is the fruits of what they have been doing, I believe, because these things are changing now. They will say it all has to do with pollution and all the factories and fossil fuels.
That hasn't been proved. It's a hypothesis, and that's their hypothesis. But they can't prove that. How could you prove that? That's only this is what's happening, and you're suggesting that is the cause.
Yeah.
But they cannot prove that. That's what I call a hypothesis.
Yes.
That's their hypothesis.
Yes. And there are, but they would say their hypothesis is sounder than what people are talking about with these geoengineering. You know what I'm saying? And people might say, but why geoengineering? Again, people, you have to understand you have a certain people, and you have these groups. You talk about one world order, one world government. They have certain plans that they want to happen.
It has to do with the people who are one of the branches of it is people who are in Freemasons and those people, and like the 322 from Yale and Harvard. They use the Bible in their own way. For example, in 322, where a verse in Genesis where they say man could be greater than angels and all that.
Yes.
Talk about dominion over the earth. So they tend to want to be like gods.
Mm-hmm.
They're Masonic people. They believe that through knowledge, illumination, they will become like God.
Mm-hmm.
You have people like Harari, who I think you played videos with him already. We talk about privacy is gone. Who talk about, he write book about Homo Deus, that in the future man will become like God, where he could give you a kidney, he could. So that's their plan, and they don't hide it.
And people used to call these things conspiracy theory, and now it's literally just it's happening now.
They are saying that they have a book where that this guy Harari, right? He's an Israeli historian. He writes a book. He's one of the front guys. He talks about, he called in his book Homo Deus, with me, man will become Deus from God. Man will become like God.
God, deity. That's when you hear the word deity.
Yes, so that's why he talks about that in the future we'll have Homo Deus.
And that's where artificial intelligence plays into it, you understand? Because for you to live longer and have those things, you will never die. That's what they expect.
Well, I beg to differ, I mean the science that there is no way no machine could be more intelligent than me. Could increase speed. None that they have. Let me tell you why. Because machine only work by program. It cannot create nothing new. As a human being, I'm not only limited by my program. I could change that.
And it will still need human being to program it.
What they're trying to trick you by is that through making us dependent, they have made us intellectually weaker. When you look at this generation, as a teacher, I notice they don't know the times tables, and it's not because they're dumb.
Yeah.
It's because they have calculators now,
Yes.
and there isn't that need.
Yes.
You know, they don't know any facts or anything because they don't have that need. They just Google it. So by giving us technology,
yes,
they have made us mentally weaker.
That's
because
right.
we don't need that level of intelligence again. Oh, I could just Google it, or I could just use a calculator. They did it. These people tested it. They tested it first with physical. They made us weaker physically because we don't work much again. I cannot compare to a man who 100 years ago who toiled in the field.
And that's what I was talking about earlier, because
no, they learn that and they're trying to do it mental now.
We live a very sedentary lifestyle. So we are way more unhealthy than the generation before. And you might say, oh, but you were living longer. But you look at us now, a lot of us, not everybody, because you still have a lot of people, they will get up, they still work, they still do other things that allow them to be working, you know, to work out and things like that. However, you see a lot of people, they've gotten larger, way larger. You know, you look at pictures of Belizeans back in the days. Go and look at old photos of us Belizeans back in the days, and you will see you used to have tall, slim women, tall, slim men. You understand? And not everybody would be tall, because we do know certain people would not have been tall, especially certain ethnic groups would not be tall. But I'm just saying, you go and look at those photos and you will see slim women. They were slim men. They were in shape. They used to work. They did not depend on canned food. They had fresh vegetables. Things were different. We have gone now, we're huge, we're unhealthy. A lot of us are very unhealthy. We're obese. Some of us are morbidly obese. Right. And we have gone down.
They teach me how to do patterns, and I realized the same thing they did with the physical, they're moving it to the mental. How I realized it was in 2015, I visited with my brother in California, in LA, for my mother's 70th birthday. And everywhere he goes, he used Google Maps. Turn left, turn right. He couldn't drive without that.
In the US, my friends in the US are the same way. I'm not going to call names. I'm not going to call, but I'm telling you, that's how they are.
Yes, and I realized that he cannot function without that Google Map and that computer telling him.
Yep.
Whenever he wants to go anywhere, he punches it, and that's it.
Siri, and I have friends, and you know, I won't say anything because sometimes they watch this show, and I'll tell you, I have certain friends, for example, they cannot drive completely. So what you're saying is totally correct. I mean, I look at them, I'm like, so, my God.
And nothing is wrong with that if you want to live that, but understand that they're rude. Just like how you lose the physical.
No, what, Brian, I'll tell you, you know what I do with my two kids, Kelvin and Natalia? I force them to use a dictionary. You see, we don't have encyclopedia anymore. You have Wikipedia and it's just Google. I force my kids to use a dictionary. Why? Because I want my kids to have one. I want them to have reasoning skills. I want them to be able to have the capacity to use their brain instead of just being, you know, punching a little word and that's it. So my kids have to use, no, I'm not saying when they go to school, they may not use it because they're not around me. But when they want to come and they want to, Mommy, what is this? Mommy, what is this? I will know what it is. But I said, no. Get your dictionary and look up the word. And I have a big fat law dictionary. So I had from Natalia looking at in that big fat dictionary and Kelvin as well. I have a small one as well, but I have these big dictionary. But we as parents will have to be very mindful so that our children can be wise. I want my kids to be smart. I don't want them to be like a lot of the kids, you know, whereby they don't use their brain to their full capacity.
I've read studies and I've encountered studies that they did study in the Western world, yes. Mostly European and North American countries, and they found that the IQ of the people are dropping.
Yes.
There are studies out there, so it's not just speculation.
Mm-hmm. And reading helps. Reading really helps. And people need to look at this because when you talk about IQ, I mean, I had done a test, you know, I was fortunate, and of course it shows by all that I've achieved and all the scholarships I've won, but I have an extremely high IQ. And what I know, what I believe helped me, other than God, helped me, so I have a good IQ. I have done a lot of reading. From I was a little child, I've read. I used to read one Nancy Drew book, one Hardy Boy book a night. I used to go to Turton Library. I used to go and look in encyclopedia. That was my love. That's what I used to love. I used to love to read, and that helped my brain. Even a dictionary, I would read it, go through it, look through it, things. And that's why I think that it really helped me. And so I feel that I see it sad When young people now, they don't get to do that because these people that we're talking about will control them. They will be controlled. Yes.
In fact, they ask you for advice on everything.
Everything. And I see a lot of, and I see a number of our Belizean Americans. They have gotten sucked into it, not all of them, but they've gotten sucked into it, not all.
Bringing back to this COP thing and what it means, it's one center thing. They talk about COP27, the 10 Commandments, but the long and short of it, and they talk, when you Google, you talk about religious leaders wearing it. They want people to agree that this is the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
So they use 10 Commandments where people are familiar with. Everybody knows, well, not everybody, but most people know about the 10 Commandments.
Yes.
And they hold it very sacred.
Very sacred.
To most. So
even though we break it sometimes, but we try to live by it.
And non-religious people know about the 10 Commandments.
Mm-hmm.
Even though, and so now they have come up with some 10 Commandments, but the thrust of it, as we use it and look at it, is that you have to try and protect the environment, and the thrust of all the 10, from 2015, the Pope came up with the 10 Commandments for the environment.
Yes.
I remember, I was excited on CNN when he was talking about it, where you recycle and you try and make a difference. But the main point of the 10 Commandments is to make us want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
They make us want to adhere. Because, as I said, I think most people have respect for the 10 Commandments.
Yes.
Whether religious or non-religious. It's something. So the whole idea of this COP thing is that they're trying to find ways for the people to accept it.
And I'm going to read out the commandments, what they are proposing. Just quickly, Nancy DePaul says the Most High is always in control, but he allows certain things. And he says, right, encourage them to think critical for themselves. I fully agree. Fully. Yeah, and we now see these, a lot of us, and this isn't about religion here, this is about a great number of people in the world believe in God, right? A lot of us also believe in these 10 Commandments, which tell us, what to do to be good people on this earth. And the people are now speaking about a one world religion as well. That's what they're speaking about. And we now have to understand there are certain things that may look good, but we will clearly have to be very mindful that...
Once you are aware of politicians, throughout the world, whether it's in Belize, in the US,
it will be to keep us like sheep.
They always talk nice, but the end result is that it benefits them more than us. And that's politicians throughout the world. When we talk about, put us in government, whichever party, Democrats, Republicans, PPP, GLP, PNP, whatever one, right? In Congress of the people, whatever. The whole idea is that whenever people sell you something, they tell you that they'll make your life better.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually to make their life. It's like courtship.
Yeah.
When you quote a girl, you don't tell her how much you're going to benefit from her. You try and show her how much she's going to benefit from you. But the long and short of it is that your objective is not to make her life better, maybe it is, but your objective is to win her over, so you do what it takes.
Well, they have some good words in here. So
yes,
let me just read them to you. These are what they're talking about, people. It says, 1, creation is not our possession. That's number 1. It's not our possession. It says the human person must recognize this and find his or her rightful place in relation to this fundamental fact. All right? For some of us, this leads to a sense of gratitude for God's gift. Okay, so, but I won't read everything, just to say that's the first commandment that they're proposed, that now they've adopted. creation is not our possession. 2, creation is not simply external to God. All right? It is in significant ways permeated by God's presence and being manifesting the divine agency reality. And such understandings are found in all traditions. And, so I don't want to get all into that. Number 3, they also said, therefore, we must treat all of life with reverence. Number 3 is within creation and between humans and other parts of creation, as well as among religious communities, there is interdependence. All right? They're saying it as all are part of a greater whole, wherein each element both receives and gives influence, impact, love, and growth. Therefore, we must care for each other and the planet. Number 4, humanity and its responsibilities. Now, those first 3 had to do with God and the world, the nature of being. You understand? Now, these, we go now to number 4. I said this has to do with humanity and its responsibilities. It says, Commandment 4, the distinctive task of humanity is to nurture and serve this interdependent life-giving, and so to resist the temptation to exploitation, waste, and harm. To act in interest of human well-being cannot be something pursued in separation from working for the well-being of the whole created order. And then they speak about 2 prominent expressions. They say, 1, commitment to not harm creation and the responsibility to protect it. B, commitment to serve, advance, and aid in the growth and evolution of all parts of creation. Therefore, they say, we recognize that we are responsible for the well-being of all life today, as well as for future generations. Number 6, this is climate change. This is number 6. The human person has capacities that are conducive to the realization of this vision, as well as forces that are destructive. So ego, self-centeredness, greed, arrogance, and more are negative traits stemming from a limited sense of the human person. These sound good, right? These have the potential to destroy humanity and creation. The soul, or the higher aspects of the human person, have the capacity to realize the fuller vision of humanity's role in the broader scheme of things and in the meaning of life and creation. Therefore, a disciplined spiritual life is helpful in overcoming the challenges of climate change. You hear that, people? A disciplined spiritual life is helpful in overcoming the challenges of climate change. Number 6, there is an inherent relationship between a human person within and nature and objective reality without. Thought, speech, and action have the capacity to bring harm or to heal. Therefore, use thought, speech, and action only for the good. Number 7, based on this understanding of the human person and his or her role in creation, the processes of growth, transformation, return, and repentance are fundamental to human existence. Therefore, the human person is benefited by the ongoing effort to purify, raise, and transform himself in view of a higher vision. All right, we have 8 now. 8, 9, and 10 has to do with living in spirituality and responsibility. Number 8, there are reactions when we harm the earth and others. Actions have consequences, and no action can be ignored. The weight of our actions and their short and long-term consequences lead us to find ways of mitigating harmful actions and to work for the good. Therefore, act knowing that every action counts. 9, we're almost there, so it's just 9 and 10 left. 9, empowered by mind, reason, and spiritual understanding, we adopt a mindful and attentive view of the natural world. Therefore, take seriously the lessons and observations that humanity has reached by application of its mind in scientific study and through common sense. Last, 10. The life of attentive, intelligent love is embodied in compassion, in openness to the pain and vulnerability of the world. Care for the other is expressed in love and compassion as fundamental spiritual principles. These are to be applied to other humans, human communities, and other parts of creation, right? And then they speak about compassion, about opening our hearts. Therefore, They said, opening our hearts to their pain will lead us to change. Therefore, be sensitive to the intolerable insecurities and injustices in which so many of our humans live well. All right? So, those are that.
The long and short of it, they're trying, it's the same old game, just like how they did with the COVID scam. They try and appeal to our Buddha side, or save grandma, protect the vulnerable, so we want to comply. They're trying to pull out our heartstrings. God, you know, something like very good goals, you know, laws interdependence.
So then they're going to say we can't drive our vehicles. I already started drive our vehicles in one of these.
What most people don't know, the green agenda,
and we must own nothing and be happy. It's right in here.
It's about green. For example, and anybody out there can correct me. There's the electric car is not more environmentally friendly than the gas car. Let me tell you why, but most people don't know. One, they use special rare earth metals that do damage to the environment to get.
Yeah.
Lithium, palladium, and a whole lot of others. They are rare and you have to drill deep. Two, they still run off electricity. You have to charge, so it's the same fossil fuel. But then people don't notice. It's not the sun charging it. It's still fossil fuel you're burning. So it's not better when you look at the big picture. The small picture, yes, when you see there, but when you look at the total cost of producing...
And I'll tell you something, it's ridiculous, even...
It's a matter of opinion. But it isn't environmentally more friendly. But in the surface, yes, when you don't look at the mining
and people need to understand that, and I can talk straight up right now. The solar panels, for example, I got some solar panels, right? So I said, let me test these things out. Now, first of all, the hurricane took a lot of them. 8 panels left, gone. It got blown off the roof. Those are 8 solar panels. The initial cost of getting solar panels is extremely expensive. It's extremely expensive. So that's one, you have to look at it. It's very prohibitive, getting solar panels. Extremely expensive up front. 2, if you don't have electricity to start solar panels, to have them, to have it start to work, to have there's this particular box, and that needs electricity, that needs energy to start up. So either you need to get off the grid, or you need to have the batteries, or you can have the what you call it now, the generators. No, point is, those don't just operate on their own. They still need. What do you put in generator? Gas. You put gas in a generator. How do we get grid energy? What is grid energy from? Fossil fuels.
So they hide it. People don't see it.
What do you get the battery from? The same thing. So I'm telling you, it is. You still have to burn those things, people, and I'm not going to stop anybody from getting solar panels. I am just telling you reality. It is, when you look at how much, first of all, the upfront cost is very, very, very high. And if you lose those, or those don't work for whatever reason, all the money, I'm telling you, it doesn't work out. They're knocking the fossil fuels right now. The fossil fuels, as long as they do it in a very responsible manner, they extract in a responsible manner, those to me are more dependable. Because we couldn't even use the solar panels after the hurricane. Up to now, I haven't been able to use any solar panels. So I just want people to understand. And if those are gone, you have to pay back for those. You have to pay back for those. I mean, it's expensive. So it's something that we have to look at quickly. Nancy DePaul says exactly. So how would the poor be able to afford that? Exactly, Nancy. How would the poor be able to afford that? It's not affordable. I heard BL was saying at one point, I don't know if you guys had seen a survey, I think they were looking at the possibility of trying to throw it out there. I know that you had these little, these Mayan ladies, one and two of them have come back and they were to put some of them down south in the villages. You know, the point is though, it's not as easy as you would seem, and you got to be careful because if hurricane come or hard wind, you could lose all that money just like that.
It's just like the electric cars. For small scale, you could buy a solar light for maybe $40 US or thereabout. That works good. But when you want to power a whole house,
it's not going to work.
It's different.
Yeah, and that's when I noticed. So
you have some little solar lights that you put in your yard to maybe $40 US to be a home.
But this is what they're pushing. This is the agenda they're pushing. And the agenda they're pushing, people, the agenda they're pushing is that we will stop using our regular vehicles. So our vehicles with gas.
I think in 30 years, I think they made a law in 30.
They did. Grissom, or what's the governor's name? Grissom. What's the name of the, Charlotte, what's the name of your governor? Gruesome? I don't know what it is.
Yes. So they already made a law in California that by 2035,
Gregory Morrison? What?
Own a gas vehicle in there. It's already in legislation.
Yes, I had read it indeed. I was surprised. I was like, wow.
So that 30 years is not long.
And I suspect other states are doing it too, or will be doing it. Washington, D.C. definitely, because, you know, they are more liberal, extremely liberal. New York, you see?
But what
Chicago.
They know that they cannot do it by force. They know that the people have to buy into it. They're very good. So they want to sell it with this cop and caring about people. But it's just like when a politician comes to whichever party, they will tell you how much you will benefit.
Thanks, Greg. Greg said I said the name correctly. I think it's Newsom.
So they will tell you how much you will benefit, but in the long run, when they get what they want, you will not benefit. It's for them.
And we will be dependent people. Imagine, I am telling you what happened to me. I am telling you, this is how they say, from the horse's mouth. I am telling you, I've been down. I didn't have any electricity at all because this thing is dependent, still dependent on something. It couldn't. These panels couldn't just get energy just on their own. They're still dependent on these things that they say are so terrible, you know.
And that's why when I look at the whole point with digital ID and so on, this hurricane really driving home, I said, no, for like up until Saturday, I didn't have internet because it was down due to the hurricane. I said, but that's why this thing doesn't make sense, because at some point, maybe due to hurricane or some other natural disaster or whatever, it will go down. And then what will you do? Even digital money is going, because according to central bank digital counting, 90% of central bank are geared towards continental income. US, even the Federal Reserve is talking about it. Bahamas have a digital currency. A lot of different. But the problem with the digital, besides the tracking and tracing, is that if power goes out, if you have a hurricane, how are you going to buy anything? What's you going to do?
Exactly. And I'm not going to knock eCash and all these entities, but this is just fact.
But they're not doing an addition. They are saying that they eliminate this, they're going to go that way. Just like with the electric car. They are not saying electric car is going to be added on to gasoline. In California, I said, no gasoline car.
Did you know I couldn't get any fuel? I sent to buy fuel. And when I sent to buy fuel, some of the gas stations were not selling any fuel, even though they had fuel, because their system was down and they didn't have any generator to have it. And I'm sure, especially those of us in Belize City, we know fully well, we couldn't buy any fuel, any gasoline, because those gas stations, a lot of them, their system was down, power was down, and so they were done. We were literally, I mean, this was like, this is something for us to think about before we think that everything should be E. You understand?
It could be, I realize it from, most people don't know that Google crashed already. They don't know that in Canada,
WhatsApp had crash.
Canada, recently, the internet didn't work for like almost a day. It was all over the news. So, and that's a developed country according to the statistics. So the vulnerability of going for it is too risky. It's the cost benefit analysis. You wouldn't put all the eggs in.
No, you still have to have a backup. I'm telling you, you have to have a backup. I see.
You can't go fully. Nothing wrong with having an addition.
Yes.
That you want to have
supplementary, auxiliary.
So I don't have a problem with electric car per se. I have a problem with getting rid of the gas car and having electric.
Yeah, I'm not me. I'm not gonna depend on an electric car.
Nothing wrong with electric car for those who want it and want to pay extra.
Go ahead, do it.
But to have that, because there's limited, there's a lot of, because most people don't know that the first electric car was developed in the 1800s or something. It's not new technology, they just released it out. Way back they started it, but then they cut it out because of the Rockefeller and he wanted to sell it.
This gas, yeah, he was all about petroleum. Everything was about petroleum.
It didn't take off,
Rockefeller.
but they were first from the late 1800s.
Got to hear. Charlotte Ferguson says, Gavin Newsom. Thank you very much, Charlotte. Thank you, Gregory Morrison. Both in California, Philip Johnson. All right, I know you were also in the U.S., my friend. He says generator is usually used as a backup emergency source when there's a blackout to keep your main appliances working, refrigeration, emergency lighting, fans to keep the elderly and babies comfortable. So true. Supplementary, auxiliary. Gregory Morrison says, as an electrical engineer, I design solar arrays, large and small, for solar farms and custom residences. So you see, we have our Belizean experts, Belizean American experts in these areas. So Gregory, in terms of these things, so like for Belize, a country that is prone to natural disasters, what do you have to say to us? I just told you what I went through. I went through, first of all, one, people might say, well, why do you have it on the roof? That's where they said you should put the solar panels on the roof. That's where you get the sun. Two, a hurricane was coming. Why didn't you take it down? I can't go up on the roof to take down those solar panels. These are special technicians that come and they set up these solar panels. And I couldn't go up, or I couldn't have people go up there and taking those down.
Usage became dependent on those.
Yes, it became, and I'm telling you.
So then how will you function when you get a certain amount?
And it was only category 1, because they say it's category 1, even though to me, at least where I was, it felt like a category 2. Yeah, it was really high. It was like, I mean, what I went through was terrible. I mean, I had huge losses. And so, I mean, an entire, like, I have a particular room that's all glass. All of the glass broke up. Solar panels left. 3 of my vehicles were flooded. 2 vans and one of my other vehicles, 3 of them were flooded. I mean, and of course I suffered a lot of other losses. My fence, that came down, a lot of losses. I'm telling you, that did not feel like a category 1.
to drive the point home, to make people understand, the Central Bank of Belize does not hook up certain parts of its database to the internet. I did tours with them, I took straight there.
Okay.
They say because of hacking.
Yeah.
There's always a risk. Once you put something on it, up to the network, somebody could hack it.
There's always somebody smarter than you.
Exactly, somebody could hack it. So that's the problem with technology. The problem with technology, electronic technology, because technology is any tool, this COP is technology, but we're talking electronic technology, is that it is hackable. right? For example, an electric car is hackable. That even America is saying they don't want to use Huawei because they could hack and have backdoors, and so they know it's hackable.
So we shouldn't put all our eggs in one basket, none at all.
No, I wouldn't add that. It wouldn't be a smart thing. Nothing is wrong with it per se, as electric car as an additional for
Imagine, we discussed just now, Brian, we discussed how our children, to a great extent, they are dependent on Google. They are dependent on their phones or their tablets or their computer to research, to add all of that. You understand? So what will happen when electricity go down? My gosh, they will feel crazy. They will feel lost. Oh my gosh. Well, so some like we who are already used to going in our dictionary, going in our encyclopedia, it's like no big deal for us. We're like happy.
And they control the source of information. For example, now people they are talking, you Google anything they are talking. They don't want to talk. Even women, they're not talking. Nobody knows what is a woman in certain parts of America.
Yeah, I know. I watched
they're
that.
talking about a bird person.
Even their judge, their Supreme Court judge that they just said, Tejani, what's her name? Tejani, she didn't know what was a woman.
That's passing out. So,
that's ridiculous.
Yes, it's passing out. So what will happen is that when you depend on these people...
Well, I'm a woman, okay?
Yes,
so
but apart from that, there's no definition, right? So what happens is when you depend on these, you depend on only one source. Because Google is it's not a monopoly because there's Yahoo and other, but it's virtually a monopoly on the information.
We even say, let's Google it, even if we're using Firefox, even if we're using DuckDuckGo.
Well, it's virtually a monopoly, and so they control the information flow for us. You know, and most people don't know certain things because you have to have specialized books, and most of these books are out of print.
And Google, just so you know, Google literally censor, like not anything you can find on Google. Try it. Try to look up certain things that they consider conspiracy theory. I'm telling you, you're not going to find it on Google. You're going to have to go on DuckDuckGo, for example, to try and find some of those things, or Firefox. Gregory Morrison, and he's in California, he says, the solar panels should be designed to integrate with the structure seamlessly. We need to design our buildings to be storm capable. But you know, it's just like designing buildings to deal with earthquake. It's never totally gale-proof. So I agree with you. I think that if we're going to use those, for example, we have roof, right? We have roof. Now, normally the storm comes from where? It comes from, it will come from the sea, so it will come from east to west. All right, so it will come east to west. So possibly my solar panels were like this, see? Flat, 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 flat. So now possibly now is, since we know normally the hurricane come east to west, now if you have your, a lot of people have their roof like a V. So if you have your roof like a V, it would be best that you put your solar panel on this side, on the west side, not the east, because you know that's where the wind will hit it. But maybe on the west it may be more protected.
But the cost sometimes will be prohibitive.
Extremely.
If it would maybe cost you maybe 100,000 to get it started ready.
Yes, it was.
Yes,
you know, so yes, it was extremely, because I have
the cost might be too prohibitive.
Yes.
Right. So especially when a country like Belize, who have limited resources, want to set up this digital infrastructure, it won't do it the proper way. It will cut corners, more likely.
Yes.
Because to do it the proper way is too costly.
Correct.
Yeah, it's just like how generally poor people build. They cut corners.
Yes.
They don't build the house, high and so on.
But the windmills now that they're talking about now, because remember they have windmills. Nancy DePaz says True, I don't research using Google. Very good. That's very wise, Nancy. What's about the windmills? Because the windmills is
windmill is one other
to me, windmill is kind of foolish, just the same.
One of the bad things about it is that when you research it, is that it requires a lot of space.
Yeah, a lot of space.
That is more suitable for a ranch or a
I'm sure birds get hit in them, all kinds of things.
It requires, you can't put that in a city there. You can't have a big windmill.
Yeah.
It requires maybe like for a ranch or somewhere like that. That is more suitable.
These extreme weathers will really mess them up as well.
The other thing is, besides the cost, is that when you go, electronic technology is very sensitive and vulnerable. No matter what they do,
yes.
you could have ways of shutting down anything with an EMP bomb, all kinds of things. They are very sensitive. So you don't want, if you are into security, you do not want to be dependent on electronic technology totally. Why? All wars, I use warfare as an example. There hasn't been a case in any warfare, major wars, where you could just bomb an army out of existence. You have to put troops on the ground. America tried it with the Iraq war, it still had to put troops on the ground. They dropped bomb. They tried it in Yugoslavia. At some point, because that technology is limited, you just drop the bomb and you don't know, no matter how they say.
Even these drones that they're using,
there's
limited
troops on the ground.
And you still need people.
They will lose.
Yeah.
Look how they lost in Afghanistan. Because the technology is only a tool, you still have to have man. They are far. There was mule and cat in Afghanistan, but yet they couldn't suppress the people with all the technology, and they dropped some big bombs. And the same thing with this technology, there is a limit to it. Technology it's not totally 100%. It's good to have, it's addition, but for example, cash is better by far in many ways than certain digital technology. There's some digital technology that we say is secretive, like Monero and Pirate, but things like Bitcoin and so on, they're traceable and you can track it and so on, and you know whatever you do with it, right? There's a trail. It's just like a credit card. When I use a credit card, it tells you when you buy, the store
everything.
You buy, everything.
Every information.
Yes.
That's why when people get when people go missing, one of the first things they will track their credit card activity. That's the first thing they're going to track. So if you were cheating on your wife or cheating on your husband, you know full well that will come up because the credit card would have been swiped. I will show, okay, you bought negligee or you checked in something.
Privacy is important, and once you have technology, you can track it. Once you have electronic technology, once you're using that, somebody could track it.
So Brian, I want to ask you, right? Because I know this is to me the crux, when I crux of the matter. With what the new state, there's a new state. I spoke about the COP27, what their intention was, what they were speaking about. The richer countries. One of the videos that I played was saying that Europe was, are the countries that are really suffering the most. Europe, believe you me, Europe. Right, because I have I had a little video that I wanted to show with it's just a 1-minute video. Kelvin still pay that one. Yeah, it's for the Caribbean. It's to show, it's just a 1-minute video, people, but you have to see the extreme weather that's happening in the Caribbean, so Latin America and the Caribbean, and then a 1-minute video also for Africa. But they're saying it's not we who's suffering the most, it's Europe. No, go ahead and play that video, Kelvin, if you're ready. Okay?
Above average rainfall and devastating floodings have affected 5 million people this year in 19 countries across West and Central Africa, according to a recent UN World Food Programme situation report. More than 1.3 million people have been displaced by the disaster, which has affected people across 33 of Nigeria's 36 states, according to government figures.
Climate change kind of turns the dial up, increases the intensity of the response and increases the droughts and increases the floods.
Several reports point out at extreme effects of climate change, with Africa reeling from the highest impact that include extreme droughts and floods. Meanwhile, in other regions like Pakistan have experienced both extreme heat and devastating floods this year.
It's not only a short-term crisis. We are talking really about short to medium and long-term crisis. So every step is important. Not only an emergency relief now, we also need to wisely think about our intervention for the medium-term support and long-term support.
The world is now urgently convening to find rapid solutions to this change in climate.
Yeah. And so that short video is important because we spoke about extreme weather, right?
Yes.
And I look at it, Brian, and we are going through extreme weather. It is a fact. We're feeling it. I told you how this hurricane, it was devastating. All right. Now, what can we do? What are we to expect? How can we make sure that we are not just being bamboozled, and that what we listen to and what we do, is what we should be doing?
Whenever someone, it's just like a con job. Any con job, the person will come and they will tell you that they're going to save you.
Yes.
Always. That's it. I'm going to help you. I'm going to make you rich. Something like that. This is a perfect contract. But how can the people that cause the problem blame you and then want you to pay the cost of the solution?
Yeah.
Did any of us, whether me or you, build any factory and pollute? And did any me or you build any cars that they say causing the pollution? What you have to understand, so that they don't manipulate you, is that the major cause of this climate change, according to them, is not the regular people. They don't produce no plastic, they don't produce no cars.
It's like a little flyer that I sent Kelvin a flyer.
It's the business elite that don't care about the environment, they just want money.
Yeah.
It's the reckless people. So, but they are not the one that's going to pay the cost and going to
the ones who jump in their jet and their plane and they by themselves.
The average Joe and Jane to pay the cost to fix the problem.
Yeah.
That's what I have a problem.
Restrict our freedom, restrict whatever little leeway.
I don't care what they say. It's not me who made the car. It's not me who decided to use plastic. It was you who told us it was a good idea.
Yeah.
Now, it's like they always say that the government, they say the government will break your feet and then give you a process, a little quotation and paraphrasing, and then tell you, see, you couldn't walk without me if you didn't have a crutch.
Yeah.
They're the one that broke your feet, you know? And then they will tell you, see, I'm giving you a crutch and it's me who makes you walk. This is what they're doing, it's a con job.
Yeah.
It's they that cause the problem. Then they're going to tell you they're going to fix it. And they're helping you. But it's they who cause the most climate change. Is it Jane and Joe? Ruin elites that fly over in their jet. When a plane go, an average plane, you have about 200 people in there, depending on the status. Well, when those jets go, maybe I have 10 people staff or so. And it goes further, like they travel all over the world, and maybe you might go to New York or some other place. So when you look at the per cost, the damage according to them, it's not the regular people that should bear the cost. It is the global elites, the ruling businesses should pay the cost.
I'm showing this little thing.
They should be taxed and they should pay that. So the The problem isn't the problem. The problem is the solution that they are proposing.
I'm showing this right now, Brian. It says, you are here. It's a little joke, people. This is us. You are here. Being told that you are to blame for the temperature. I mean, Gregory Morrison say, but we use those same resources, the cars, the plastics. He says, all right, listen to this. He says, it's not as simple as he's placing it. Yes, those rich, developed countries need to help poor countries that are most affected because they have the money and the technology, and the whole world population is affected by the effects of climate change.
It's not that simple. I'm saying that who they want to pay the cost of this change. It's not the people who cause the problem. They want the regular people.
For example, Gregory, what is this? Is a perfect scenario.
We're not saying
they will be proposing. Listen good, because already in Mexico, for example, you can only drive vehicle on particular days of the week. There, all right. One set of people, then another set of the people, and that's happening right now in Mexico, like Mexico City. Now, what they will be proposing is that, for example, we are not to be using our gas vehicles. We will not be, they will tell us, no, you're not to be using your gas vehicles, and you know that for a fact because you're in California, and that's a fact. They've already legislated it. So you will not be able to use your gas vehicle unless that legislation is rescinded. Okay? No, they're going to want to do that for all of us. So when those 10 commandments, 10 climate change commandments came on board, I already saw these things in it. That they will tell us that no. If you care about the environment, if you care about others, you will not use your gas vehicle. So what do they expect me to do? Oh, they're going to say, well, jump on your bicycle, walk, jump on your bicycle. But then you're going to see the richest men and the richest women. What are they going to get into just to go to a meeting? They're going to get on their private jets where they will use tons of fuel among themselves just to fly from one spot to another spot. But we will have to inconvenience ourselves. We will have to be walking in this hot sun, sweating up ourselves, possibly whatever it is. And no, I'm not saying we should not be in shape. I'm just saying that is not possible for some of us. You understand? Those who want to do it, let them do it. That is what, when he speaks about who will actually be the ones that they will look at, it will be us, the regular folks, not them. They will continue to live high, and the carbon credits, what are they going to do? They will have enough money so that they can then say, okay, I will pay for carbon credits, all right, off our expense, because will we be able to pay carbon credits? No, we're not. Gregory Morrison says, 2035, no more gas cars produced in California. All right, exactly, Gregory. Nancy DePaul says, right, Zenaida, you're right. Thank you very much. Because this, and Van Comber says, agrees to that. This is what we're talking about.
We don't have a problem with their problem.
Let them do it.
The solution they give us.
Exactly.
It isn't the problem, is that they want us to bear the cost, and they are leading by example. Show me one global elite that stop using their jet.
None.
And they're talking about the environment. Just one.
Just them and their wife, or them and their sweetheart fly in a jet, or them and their entourage fly in a jet from one country to another country, while the rest of us, they will expect that we will listen what they are proposing, what they'll be proposing, and you listen, and you can take this to the bank, that we will not, or ought not to be traveling. That is it, that we will not be traveling. So when our brothers and sisters who live abroad, because I have my family living abroad, they will tell them they should not be traveling and coming to Belize to come visit us. That's what will be happening.
So now, we could debate about the problem. What I'm talking about is that what they propose is not a viable solution. They want the regular people to pay the cost.
It's not equal, exactly. Gregory says, I agree with you that it's never equal.
By example, if they tell me about this climate change, and I would have to see them stop have private jet. I have to see them ride bicycle and go drive fancy car like Ferrari, Bugatti, the bird had a gap. I don't look at what you say. You can't fool me by saying nice words.
Yeah.
Actions speak louder than words. Have you seen these people pushing the environment?
Yeah.
Have you seen them riding bicycles and not driving cars?
No.
Have you seen them stop using private jets? So I know it's only...
Look at Mark Zuckerberg. For those of you who know Mark Zuckerberg, when he first came on the scene, he said he was one of those like real ones who like, yeah, you know, a techie and yeah, really with the environment. He said he still lived in his, you know, he still slept on a couch and all this, and he was rich, and you'd have thought he would have continued. No, that man owns, I believe it's Hawaii. Is it Hawaii? Half of Hawaii, they say he owns, or someplace like that. So they will say certain things, but they will turn around and do other things. You understand? They're not upfront like some of us. We will tell you, like I will tell you, you want me to walk? I have no problem. I will walk when I feel like walking. So if I want to go for a walk, then I will walk. But tell me and force me that no, you will not. You will not be able to drive your vehicle, your car or your truck or your SUV. Now that is where why draw the line. You understand? I don't expect anybody to force me to do anything. Not when it comes to certain amenities that I feel. I feel that we should have a right there.
I put a scenario. Do you think if in California, Elon Musk or whoever has a gas vehicle,
Jeff Bezos,
do you think that any police or any agent is going to breathe down their neck if they have a gas vehicle?
Of course not, man.
Let's say Joe Public has a gas vehicle. I bet you they're going
and some of them, what they will do, they will have the oldest vehicles too. Right. That may not be fuel efficient.
This is what you have to understand.
As those older vehicles are, you know.
What we are saying is that you're giving me Cadillacs words. This climate agenda is mere sweet talk, but your action, which speaks louder than your words, doesn't match up.
Yes.
So I'm not buying in. Me personally, I'm not buying in. Not because I'm not going to argue about the science or whether it can. I'm going to argue of your solution is not the correct solution.
All right, so we want to wrap up now. Nancy DePaul says they will take everything from the poor to give to the rich. Own nothing and be happy, Mark.
With that I already see what they're planning.
Yes.
So I'm not arguing about all that kind. I'm arguing that the way you're solving it is that I will pay the cost and you will pay no cost. And I have a problem with that.
Greg Morrison says it's more about industrial countries paying to help poor and developing countries to harden their infrastructures. And yeah, I get that. It's because it's looked at that they're the ones who cause the most pollution. They're the ones with the most factories and most industrial sites.
Do you think realistically, do you think they're going to do that?
No, and not only that, no, and they still have not been doing it. Look at the largest countries. Look at them. China, the US, and all those things. Russia.
But look at what they're doing. I told you they signed this treaty in 1990.
But look at Europe and England. They still know. Remember what's happening now. They have had to go back to using fossil fuels. So there's a setback. It's not reliable, and there's a setback.
I understand, and we're not there yet. The first thing is, one, we're not there yet. And two, the technology is still in its infancy.
But do you think it is we who's causing this climate change? Gregory Morrison says, I don't think the focus should be on the individual, but on state to state. Exactly. And so now let us look at it. Do you think it is we? We know that our smaller countries are not the one causing the problems. You understand? And you will say certain poor countries like India, because of all the cows and so forth, the methane that is left. And I'm sure other countries like in the Netherlands and so forth, when it comes to cow and all the methane that, you know, that it's, yeah. So Greg says they will need to because it will cause vast movement of people. That's what he says. But my point is, though, is that is it we causing the problems that we should be the ones
to bear the burden?
To bear the burden?
That's why I have a problem.
No! Punto final. No, it is not us. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much they pay. I am telling you what is happening. Listen to me. You may say, okay, we have our Caribbean leaders, our Pacific leaders, Pacific Island leaders going there, cup in hand, going there expecting, begging for money, begging for more assistance, global environment facility assistance and other climate change facilities assistance. Now listen to me, listen to this part. Now we might say, okay, we will get those money to help towards mitigation, adaptation and mitigation. Okay, so our mitigation efforts, our adaptation efforts needs to be funded. Fine, that's all good and good. But on top of that, those people will continue to do what they're doing. They will continue, so the gases will continue, and so we're just to get money just to mitigate and adapt. How about our happiness? They want to take away our happiness. They want to take away the little happiness that we have to go out with our family. You understand? They want to stop that.
Do you think China or Germany will shut down their factories to save the exam?
Hell no.
I'm just throwing it out there. Do you think that?
No.
But who is going to have to cut? So they want to shift the cost to the regular Joe.
Yeah, and because they can pay for it, because they will say, okay, well, we will pay you for it. And that is why the super bond right now, the blue bond now, this is what's happening, because now we will be restricted. Tell them, just, and then we have to end there. The restriction that will happen to us.
Part of this really super bond, I believe, has to put in reserve 30% of its seed. That's almost half. Nobody can machine at 30% of the seed. Now that's a half cost, because that's a livelihood for thousands of millions that will be restricted.
And they will arrest you, and you literally see people already starting to be arrested people.
So we
you try to go there.
That's why I'm telling you, the regular Joe is paid the cost. And that's why I have a problem. The bill shouldn't come to us. The bill has to come to the people who did the damage.
Yep.
And that is my argument right there. I'm not going to argue whether you should this and that and family. I'm arguing who should be the one to pay the majority of the cost.
Nancy DePalsa, you really think they care about poor countries? The elites causing the problem. Gregory Morrison says that is an issue. The blue bond is an issue for me. You understand? And it is. It should be, because of what it will cause and the limitations on us. It should have been designed with an expectation date.
So, what will happen is that those people, they have to be less fishermen. Long and short of the story, although we have a growing population, because there will be less fish area you can fish, so it will affect livelihood and lives. And that's just the beginning. I'm telling you, they have other plans that they will.
But that's why they're starting to make artificial lettuce, artificial seafood. They're starting to make, and you guys know about that, right? You guys know that there's fake lettuce, right? Literally now they can literally make paper lettuce, and you'll be eating it thinking that that's lettuce.
Synthetic biology. In science they call it synthetic biology, where they could synthesize things from nature. Synthetic biology. It's a field.
And you can't tell the difference. Artificial chicken, Gregory Morrison said artificial chicken.
Invested in companies in synthetic biology.
Plastic meat.
Yes, but it's no. There are in certain countries they're promoting eating bugs and all kind of craziness. They want us to pay the cost.
They'll want us to be eating all these little insects, and this is a fact.
So I have a problem with that. I have a problem with me paying the cost for what you caused. I'm not the major culprit. My country doesn't even contribute 0.1% of the carbon gases. Not even 0.1%. 0.001%.
Yes.
So why should I have all these restrictive policies?
Yeah.
Why?
And that's why we want to open up your eyes. Just last time, just
so
going
that
to
is
say.
my argument. So the solution is disproportionately far on the poor and dispossessed.
Yes.
And it shouldn't be far on the poor and dispossessed. Who can afford an electric car?
The electricity
and at one time, I wanted to buy a hybrid car so I could have good mileage.
Yes.
When I look at the price,
yeah.
I said,
and the cost of the battery replacement.
I looked at it, I did the cost benefit analysis.
Yeah.
And I didn't go to the hybrid.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go for electric. At one point, I was looking at the hybrid, and I said, it was irrational.
Greg, you have me laughing. Greg said, first of all, like I told you, Gregor Morrison had said it should have the blue bond should have been designed with an expiration date. He says chicken meat grown in a lane from chicken cell, artificial chicken, and he says cockroach milk is rich in protein. All right, Greg, let me just finish up here. Your last word.
My last word is this. Don't come and be easily fooled by sweet words. Look at what they are doing, not what they are saying. Just like regular politicians. They will talk sweet words, but look at what they are doing. No politician will come to you and tell you, I increase your tax. I will let the police brutalize you. I will fire you. They will alter. So what they are doing is a typical con job.
Yes.
They are telling you, oh, we're going to fix it, but the reality is their actions.
And they'll make us feel guilty.
Yes.
Yes, so
they have not said no private jet. They have said no electric, no gasoline
car.
So when I saw that, I knew the problem.
I wonder if our brothers and sisters in California understand that.
So what I understand
that.
is that it's sweet words, but who is paying the cost?
So all the rich people will continue flying their jets and all that.
There's no law that you can't have there's no law that says you cannot have a private jet. Why did they make a law about that?
They're not gonna. They're not gonna. So with that said, I want to say that again, this show is brought to you through the courtesy of Sea Belize Vacation Rentals, located at 5 miles Philip Colson Highway. So if you haven't visited there, make sure you visit there. 501-615-4465, 67 or 85. And then, so make sure it has an awesome pool, and we're back in business after Hurricane Lisa. And our website is www.Sea Vacation. I want to also thank Ben Ruiz and Michael Salazar. They're the ones putting forth the show throughout the country on Maximum Television and Maximum Radio and Mad Lab Radio. They have so many different avenues that we're out there, and so I just want to say I really appreciate all those different entities for people to start to really look at that.
All we want people to do is to start to think.
Yes. And then I want to also thank you very much, Brian. You're somebody that I always appreciate, because you're enlightened, and we need more people like you who are enlightened to help educate us some more. You understand? Educate us. And so, but Maximum Radio and Television, again, if you haven't been watching, they're on Channel 51 in Corozal, Orange Walk, and Ladyville. Channel 51. San Pedro, Belize City, Belmopan, Cayo, Dan Grigor, and Punta Gorda, they're on Channel 14. And in San Pedro, they're on Channel 33. And they're on their radio, 104.1 FM, on Radio Net, Radio Garden, DigiTV. They're on Instagram, iVoice Live. They're also on Mad Lab Radio, MITV, Next Gen TV, Sector 9, Switch TV, TikTok, Zeno Radio. And so you can catch Maximum Radio Television on Central Cable Television and Internet throughout the country. And also, the Zenaida Moya Show, again, we're on, of course, Facebook. We're on YouTube, LinkedIn, and we're going to, for a while I was saying we're on Rumble, and I'm also, I was looking whether or not we should continue on Instagram and Twitter, because those are more short medium, and I don't have time to be communicating with people on it, no? Yeah, because it's longer, and we're not just a little small sentence. So I'm really zeroing in on those areas where where I think it's more practical. So I want to thank Kelvin LeBron Moya Flowers. He's the one in studio who has been doing his stuff, at least here, our studio, Max TV's Ben Ruiz and Michael Salazar, but Kelvin is in here. I want to thank Kelvin, doing a wonderful job, Kelvin. I really appreciate everything that you do, Kelvin. And go ahead, Kelvin, take it away. We're going to show the ad, the Sea Belize ad. So if you haven't seen it, make sure you watch it. Thank you, appreciate you. Next week, same time, same place, Tuesday at the same time, 7 o'clock. Brian, I wish you could be here more often, man, but I know you have your class. I just love learning from you. Thank you very much.
I try to make it simple. What the problem is that they want us to pay the cost. Don't all this fancy word. That's the bottom line I have a problem.
Yes. So go ahead, Kelvin. Take it away. Go ahead.
What I think you should do with Twitter and Instagram is that maybe you take snippets and put it on there instead of the whole show.
Yes.
Maybe you just take a segment out or something.
Yes.
More people look at it like that because those medium are sharp things.
Kelvin, go ahead, play the ad.
Looking for the ultimate sea view getaway? Then Sea Belize Vacation Rentals and Tours, located at 5 miles Philip Golson Highway near the Halover Bridge, is your perfect sea view getaway. Come relax in one of our beautiful air-conditioned sea view apartments, studios, sea view rooms, or suites, all with flat screen television, hot and cold bath, and unlimited access to our spacious and refreshing 40 by 16 foot pool with 6 to 4 feet depth. So you can enjoy that fun and refreshing dive or dip in the pool. We sell ice cold drinks, so you can relax and unwind on our overwater or poolside decks. Contact us at 501-615-4485, 65 or 67.